It's not Jim.
Okay, I'll stop.
Okay, thank you. The Auburn Industrial Development Authority will come to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dacey,
Here.
Mr. Genatino.
Here.
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Ms. Green.
Here.
Ms. McIntyre.
Here.
Ms. Willow McLeod is absent today. Mr. Cuddy. Here. Mr. Lowe.
Here. You also have Rob Poyer, attorney, by Zoom.
Thank you, Rob.
Is there a motion on the floor for the minutes of March 15th?
So moved.
That would be the regular, the governance and the audit meeting minutes. All three.
So moved.
Second, please, Jim. Any discussion? Changes? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions carried. Bills and communication.
So we only have one bill that's in your packet this month, and that is an invoice from CETA to the IDA for the first quarter, the quarterly administrative services contract, and there's an additional $2.40, which covers postage.
Motion on the floor to accept the invoice.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions carried. Okay. Report of the treasurer.
So for January through March, we've had a total of just under 17,000 in expenses. We paid some dues to the New York State Economic Development Council and the Chamber of Commerce. We paid $4,000 for the audit. The 1 quarter payment to CETA, the $5,006. And under the marketing and promotion, that was 1 month of the TGW for $47.50. Plus the $2,000 that we paid for the, to be a sponsor of the Fire and Ice event. And we only had a little bit of interest income, so we have just about a $17,000 deficit through March.
Is there a motion on the floor to accept the balance sheet and the P&L?
I'll move it.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion. It should be noted that their payment for Q Economic Development was for last year.
Yeah.
It's just cleanup. This invoice is for this year. Okay.
If the board chair doesn't mind, may I speak?
Sure, please.
I will say that Katie has been working extensively with our third-party auditors to get everything cleaned up. That was brought before the board over the last month, and I know Katie, that again, has been working extensively to get that all cleaned up. Make sure that we're addressing all the concerns that were brought before the board, and what we're looking to do moving forward is make sure that Lisa Green, as treasurer, is receiving information well ahead of time, so she's presenting the most accurate, up-to-date information walking into the door for everybody here.
In terms of the status of the audit, I've entered all of the journal entries that they gave us, and I uploaded our QuickBooks to the auditors so that they can compare my ending numbers with the ending numbers they want to see. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for everything you're doing. The CETA update.
Okay, so this is gonna be, I'm gonna speak a little bit here and then I'm also gonna ask Maureen to speak a little bit. And in the new business section, I would like Lauren to speak to some of our marketing objectives here. On the CETA end of things, one of the big tasks we had over this last month was getting all of our Paris reporting in by the 30th. That was done and completed. Just today received some inquiry follow-ups to answer state auditors' questions. I'll be going through that. If anything serious comes up, I will let the board know. After review of their questions, it's more just due diligence of why is this number this year different from last year? And part of it is just the tax rate changed. So nothing serious coming up there. But again, Katie's been going through all the audit updates as well. I have had one meeting in particular over this last month of March from our last meeting of an interested party for Ada benefits. That being said, we have had additional interest for the 14-acre parcel that Ada owns. That I'll have Maureen update everyone on momentarily. But we also, as a reminder, received the termination from Terrapin, which does open that parcel back up. While unfortunate, it does put something back in the arsenal here for us to market, which I am more than certain will go somewhat quickly here, as there's been renewed interest in Auburn and Cuyahoga County. So Maureen, if you don't mind explaining that we have had some pretty good interest in the 14-acre parcel, in particular from two interested parties.
So these are two existing businesses that are both in the city of Auburn. One might be outside just by here. They're currently leasing their space and their businesses have grown and they're looking to acquire land and put up their own location and expand their services. And one is looking for 7 to 10 acres, although I think, you know, depending on how big of a building and everything that one needs, the other one is looking for 3 to 5 acres. And of those parcels, they're both interested in that parcel. It seems very logical that we could divide that and have them both site there. As sort of a courtesy, I went and spoke to one of the neighboring businesses that had expressed interest in that site previously to expand upon, and I've got, you know, confirmation that that business has expanded all that they need right now. And so it wouldn't be stepping on their toes at all to sell this neighboring parcel to these two other businesses. The two other businesses are anxious and ready to go. They're, you know, I'm working with them on how to develop the site and how to go about the process, but looking for some guidance from Ada of how they should go about, you know, getting acquiring the site if we needed to subdivide it, you know, the feedback from this board. The two businesses do not know about each other. It's just that based on their need, neither one of them needs 14.5 acres, but it seems like it could accommodate both of them very well.
There wouldn't be any issues with the two of them being together, like that near each other, no conflicting.
Are we talking about the?
Yeah,
Not at all.
Are we talking about the land adjacent to Mac Studios?
Yes, the one that's on the south side.
Have we talked to him yet?
That's what I was kind of explaining. I went and I talked to him, the neighboring business, to see if he,
Because he had first,
yes.
Yeah.
First refusal.
Is there a right of first refusal on that property?
pardon me?
Is there a right of first refusal from Mac Studios on that parcel?
something legally or officially or just.
Maybe it's more of a courtesy.
Informal.
I wanted to see.
Yeah, I think it was just a verbal.
Right, so, and he has put an extension on one of the buildings already and is working with kind of figuring out lean processes of how to arrange everything. And I think right now he's got enough space and he didn't say anything about needing more land.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll first start by saying the fact that there's interest in that parcel and then it can accommodate two businesses. He says if those businesses can comfortably fit there, I think I'm
great.
for selling them
Yeah.
and move forward. What I think.
Just, yeah, I'm totally agree with that, but I think we need to talk to Mac first.
She did.
She did.
Oh, you did?
I did. And if we want to more directly explain that there are people interested in that neighboring parcel, I didn't directly ask that, but I kind of figured out where he was with things. He explained he had just put on another edition, and I asked like, okay, you've got enough space, and he said yes. So we can have another conversation with him, but I wanted to first, without opening all of that to Peter Mac, just see how he was doing. And then
As long as you feel comfortable that he's not interested.
And yeah,
Yeah, I'd say move
I'm in
forward.
favor.
Sure.
So that helps our discussions moving forward, because before we reapproach either of them with this sort of plan, we wanted to make sure the board was okay with that.
Yeah.
Part of our
Yeah.
next steps is getting in touch with Rob here and Rick to figure out if we're gonna subdivide it. What are we gonna sell it for as a subdivided parcels, and then hopefully both these companies are willing to be, neighbors in the same overall space there, but it makes the most logical sense. And I know one of them in particular, aside from their interest in the parcel, is Ada Benefits as well.
Great.
The other one too, potentially.
I think he will need, or he should seek some benefits too,
Yeah.
but he's got to get some numbers together to understand the total project cost better.
Great.
Yeah.
Good news.
These properties are adjacent to residential neighborhood, correct?
I guess on the.
Yeah,
back
Yeah, they are.
side,
they are.
they're
It's a good
Pretty
space.
clean, simple businesses,
Okay.
they're not. Noisy, operating all hours of the day. I wouldn't think they're a nuisance at all.
Good.
Thank you, Maureen.
Yes, thank you. It's great.
Yeah, great news. Michael,
Wonderful.
just because now this is a public meeting and it's become public about Terrapin, can you just kind of explain what went on there? As best you can without, I mean, there may be confidentiality things, but.
Sure. I'm glad Rob's on the call. So this was brought to my attention while I was out of town earlier this month, that Rob had received the notice of termination there. Rob had asked me at the time if, he could go back and ask them, what their reasoning for that was. They legally did not have to provide one. What Rob shared with me and the rest of the board here is that, and I think many of you knew here, is that they had been making all of these plants operate in New York, but because of Albany and everything else, they couldn't get traction, and for them to sit on property without clear expectation and guidance from the state of how they could actually operate here, they had to pull out. That being said, they had shared with Rob and passed along to the rest of us how pleased they were with Ada and the city of Auburn in looking to support them starting up within this locale, and that they would be interested coming back to Auburn if the environment within New York State, becomes a little more hospitable for their operations.
Thank you.
Great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Rob, anything to add to that?
No, I think you have it exactly right. It was more of a New York problem than it was an Auburn problem. And I would say that it was very collegial. They were very complimentary of both the city and of it, both the city in general and Ada in particular. And if New York State is New York State, we love it, but it also, sometimes we can't get out of our own way. So if things change and they come back to New York, they said they would definitely look in Auburn. And I would also point out that when I asked the reason, the contact I received in response was not from their lawyer, it was actually from their CEO, Mr. Wood. directly. So, you know, I take that as a show of sincerity on their part, that it was their CEO and not their lawyer or anybody lower down the chain. He contacted me immediately, you know, and explained that it wasn't us, it was them, and they just couldn't do business in New York with the way things were.
Thank you.
Anything else, Maureen?
Nothing else from me.
2023 goals tracking.
Okay, so I've added this here and I could add the sub bullet points going forward if everyone would like. The three main goals that Ada has is one, market Ada benefits. Two, assist two projects with Ada benefits. And three, market Ada owned parcels here. So we are, both Maureen and I, in almost every discussion we have with larger business owners looking within the Auburn area, that is always part of the conversation there. Just this year alone, at least 5 different conversations I've had. I'm not sure how many Maureen has had herself, but we're usually on the same page. Very good interest in Auburn and Ada benefits to help support these projects. Aside from the 2 we just spoke about now, I had one other conversation within the last month that seems to have pretty good potential. I'm waiting to hear some more details over the next month. And we do have, Maureen and I have an introductory call for a business that just acquired one here within Auburn that is very interested in local benefits. And how CETA may be able to help, and obviously our work with Ada, they're going to be a part of that conversation. So we're always including Ada in every conversation we have here. So I would say that goal is being met, just from the work Maureen and I do, but also through the work that Lauren's doing on the marketing end of things as well, to make sure that's getting promoted through our social channels too. The next item here, assist 2 projects with Ada benefits. Right now in our pipeline, that's teed up right now, and those are the ones that are a little further down, but there's a little more at the top of the barrel there. So I feel we're on good track through Q1, entering Q2 here. And lastly, market Ada owned parcels. So we do have, aside from our 14.5 acre parcel, the now open 12-acre parcel. The other ones we talked about the end of last year, but moving through this year, I know the board would like to see us get rid of those residential parcels that we have. So that's an item on my to-do list, to get that off our inventory list and hopefully put a little money back in Ada's pocket as well. And if the board so has the appetite to explore other parcels within the city for acquisition, you know, maybe put that on the docket this year as well.
Did we end up having to shovel any sidewalks at all down there? I mean,
Not a lot of snow.
I didn't have to do
Not a lot
mine
of
really,
snow.
so yeah.
Very, very little snow this year.
Lucky there.
And, we received no citations or anything else from the city, and we were granted. Because I had spoken with Jenny Haynes from the city, she said they would definitely, you know, give us some leeway, knowing that was kind of sprung up on us, but with the lack of snow, nothing came about.
Can I say, so I just want to say, Michael and staff, market difference from earlier. Like mid-quarter things, it seems like you're getting your footing and things are, you know, like. It's just good to hear everything and good to see Maureen and Lauren at the table, Katie at the table. Just this is what I'm familiar with, and it's just good to hear all the things that are beginning to happen. And it's been a while. It was a desert. There was a lot of learning to do, and it was a very tumultuous time. But this is good. So it's good to hear all the activity and all the future activity that may be coming down. And you know, I know it has a lot to do with the cooperation of your staff and the new staff and the staff that's been here to kind of get things back up to running. So just want to know that it's appreciated on our end.
Thank you. Is somebody talking? Oh.
That's the tone they go now, the bond.
Does anybody have any questions on the goals tracking? Okay, new business. The web housing proposal.
So, you do have this in your package here, but this is, what I mentioned earlier. We went through a little bit of an issue earlier in the month. It just coincidentally was the exact same day we had to get all of the Paris reporting stuff up on the site. And of course, we could not do that. Lauren, really took this, head on and got in touch with TGW, got in touch with in-house, got in touch with Dan. Myself and the board, I had just gone out on PTO and Lauren's taking care of all of this, so. Aside from the web hosting portion here, Lauren also has a good handful of updates related to our other marketing objectives that has been discussed here as well. So Lauren, please.
So I have a bunch of notes. I'm going to try and keep it brief, but basically I want to talk about 3 different things. The first part is obviously the TGW work on the broken back end, which I know you have all been informed of via email. When Mike was away, I kind of sent him a summary and he sent that out to all of you. You all agreed that TGW could do the work. It took them 2 hours to do the work. We have not gotten the bill yet, but that should be forthcoming. Essentially at this point, everything is working on the site, on the back end. So that's kind of that first piece. I won't go into detail on it because like I said, I think you all know what that looked like, but we should be receiving an invoice for $400 because it was 2 hours of work that was completed. The second part is with regards to the hosting. So you do have in your packet the in-house design proposal for that. However, that was initially who we were thinking for the hosting. I did have a conversation with Dan, kind of went through some options for hosting. So obviously we know TGW is going to charge $400 a month. You already have that proposal. We know we're not going with them, but that was the first proposal received. The second one was for in-house design, which is $104 a month. The next proposal, which is in the mix, but not really in the mix. I talked to Dan and said, why didn't we consider Code Monkeys for hosting? Talked also to obviously Rob about the conflict of interest with that involved. We're not going to be moving in that direction for my recommendation in any event. And the next proposal would have been through GoDaddy, which is $19.99 a month based on a 2-year term. And that would be renewing at $34.99 a month starting in April 2025. So my recommendation is to have TGW migrate the site to GoDaddy. They are willing to do that, and with Dan's recommendation as well, with his expertise, he said have TGW, do that, so that way if anything goes wrong with the site, they have the onus and responsibility on them to make sure it gets migrated correctly and everything gets migrated over. They would charge $1,000 to do that. And then once we have GoDaddy, it would be $19.99 a month for them to host the site.
Why is there such a huge difference that they're all comparable, what they're each going to do?
Pretty much, I mean, as far as like the TGW proposal is $400 a month, in-house is $104 a month. Dan's is Code Monkeys about $52 a month. And GoDaddy is about $19.99 a month. I mean, there's some differences, between the support, but overall, I think the recommendation would be, GoDaddy, it hits the mark on what we would need at this point. And then once we decide on the agency, which is the next part of the conversation on path forward, we can talk about maintenance and anything else that we might want as far as a maintenance plan through the agency.
Majority of.
I have a question about the support. GoDaddy is nationwide, right?
Correct.
If we had a similar problem that we had the day that we had to put the Paris up, how fast could GoDaddy respond?
Go ahead.
So GoDaddy won't do anything, it'll be who we, like, we could respond like that. We would be able to do that because GoDaddy base, am I right, Dan? GoDaddy, we will have total control of.
We,
Our board,
Our
or
board,
everybody here.
myself, like I have full admin access to the website now.
The biggest problem that we had, I could have fixed probably that issue that we had before, that would have donated my time to that, but we were locked out of the ability to do that. We didn't have FTP access, we didn't have cPanel access, we didn't have all sorts of access that we could have used to attack that problem. If we were with GoDaddy, we would have all that information. We have resources available to us to fix that. That's, I think.
So we wouldn't need GoDaddy to
They would
fix it, like we
right,
needed
but-
TGW, that wouldn't happen again.
The reason that we needed TGW is because they were the ones with the password.
Yeah,
And they weren't gonna give it to us. But I will
They're
say,
hosting the domain as well.
all of these different companies, TGW in-house, including me, we're all resellers for somebody else. Some, a larger host who actually does the physical thing. I don't have a server at my house where I host all the websites. I just rent a huge chunk of it. And then I rent pieces out to other people. And that's what TGW was doing as well. So going to GoDaddy, some of these places might use GoDaddy and they might be resellers for GoDaddy, and you just pay them 3 times what you would
yeah,
pay GoDaddy
okay, that
directly.
makes sense then.
All of the stuff that, we're seeing here from in-house design for these essential features, these are all free at GoDaddy. They're all free services or plugins. Yoast SEO tool is free. We can install it, we configure it ourselves. All the rest of that stuff, it's all free stuff. So
Yeah. No,
great choice. Fully on board.
And Dan had offered that, if there's any assistance that was needed, for that migration, that we would be willing to assist with that.
If there's any trouble, I'll volunteer, whatever you need.
Great. This migration is not, we'll figure it out and research the heck out of it, so. Does anyone have questions with regards to that piece? Because again, once we let TGW know that we're moving to GoDaddy, then again, that would be $1,000 to migrate the site. Otherwise, if we don't do that, they're sending us the zip files and opening the domain for public registration, which we would have to kind of figure that out. So I think
I'm
doing it.
comfortable if you're comfortable.
Yes.
I just had one question. Just curious where the CETA website and the chamber website are they with GoDaddy as well?
CETA's domain is with GoDaddy. The website is hosted through in-house design. The
Okay,
the chamber's domain is through GoDaddy, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's hosted through in-house design, but that doesn't fall under our purview.
Right. Yeah, we,
Okay, thank you.
Need to talk about hosting. Do we make a vote or anything like that?
yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Rob, do we need to make a particular vote on this decision here?
Yeah, you're gonna spend money, so I would take a vote on it.
So we'll start, could someone make a motion?
I'll make a
The
motion.
wording is that we're going to switch from
We're gonna migrate. the
Um,
site.
You're gonna switch from
migrate from
TGW.
TGW to GoDaddy.
Migrating the site.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, I would move that we pay CGW to migrate the site to GoDaddy and then move our hosting to GoDaddy.
I'll second.
Yes.
second, Lisa. Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, extensions carried.
All right, so then the last piece that I wanted to bring up was obviously the path forward. So part of my approach to engaging with a new agency, as I know there's a lot of hesitancy and given the past relationship, it consisted of reviewing all of the IDA websites through New York State, which there are a lot of them. And most of the websites are not very good. So I was very underwhelmed. But one site caught my attention, which was through Franklin County. The agency that was used for that website was DCI, which has offices in Toronto, New York City, and LA. I would anticipate it's a very significant cost to use the agency. They do specialize in economic development, marketing, and lead generation, and they have a tailored approach to improving a community's image, increasing project inquiries and generating investment opportunity. However, after reviewing their website, their pillar is really marketing places, and it's a place-based approach, which we know is not the direction that you want to go in. So after reviewing their case studies, I think there are elements of the sites that can be incorporated into the layout that are worth noting, and I have noted them on my end, so I don't think there's any further discussion that needs to happen with that agency. I just wanted to note a couple things about my understanding from the board about the direction that you're looking to move forward with for the website. So my understanding is that the overall project goal is to improve Ada's value prop through the restructure of the website content to align the website with the authority's goal of providing valuable information to companies considering the region as a potential partner and location for their operations. The critical elements of the site should include everything related to governance, right? So meeting minutes and board members, why you should do business here. So available sites, workforce development, business support services, those success stories. And then, of course, the community information, which is going to be your place-based qualities like demographics, housing, and education. When you come to the Ada website, you should really know who the audience is, who's the site for, and what do we want them to do. So I've had multiple exchanges and communication with two agencies, one of which is in-house design, and the other one is MPW agency, which we talked about before. For in-house design, their focus is more on the visual aspect. So they're more of a graphic design agency. They are the current website host for CEDA's website. They did work on a new navigational plan for CEDA's website back in 2021. They don't have much experience with economic development sites other than CEDA. So I did talk to them about their approach. And, you know, I think that they would be a strategic partner. However, I do feel that MPW agency is more of a full service agency and can provide us a more comprehensive strategy with a diverse number of services. So the first step with engaging with MPW agency would be a discovery call. That can range anywhere from about $1,000 to $3,000, and it really depends on what they need to do. That's the homework that they're going to do when they bring us back a proposal. So it compensates the agency for their expertise, and it lets us know that they're providing us value and that they're committed to putting in the work and the research. So it's really an investment in them providing valuable insights and actionable recommendations. I found through multiple conversations with the agency that they're very prompt to address questions, which I think is critical now and also down the road when there's more sensitive situations that come up. Their willingness to research. So while they have no other experience in economic development except the Mohawk Valley website, it's really allowed them to flex their abilities. They sent a whole bunch of other websites that they've done. And I've really emphasized with them the need for lead generation because I think that's really important for what this organization is about. So they've designed the Mohawk Valley website, which I know all of you have seen and you really like. Some other websites worth noting are the Advanced Manufacturing Institute. They've designed that website. They've also done Advanced Street Capital, which I think is a great website, as well as YTech, which is a medical tubing company. And again, they're not in economic development, but I think those websites kind of show, you know, the design. Obviously, we're doing a content restructuring, so we're not doing a redesign of the website, but I think it helps to see those as examples. Like I said, their approach is more comprehensive. There are different departments for SEO and for conversion rate optimization. There's also opportunities to talk about brand strategy and reputation management. Again, their approach would be the discovery call first. They'd really get to know Ada, get to know what our goals are, the scope of work, what fell short from the last relationship, and what we're really looking for in the future. Also clarification on the timeline and making sure that's meeting what the board's expectations are. The proposal would be executed about 3 to 4 weeks after the call, which would include a pricing structure for what's anticipated next, phase 1 and phase 2. Recommendations on the proposal would include an assessment of what's working currently. And I think that's really important, is not just to jump in and make changes, but to assess what's currently happening on the site. So they'll look at page rankings and visits and baseline of the current user experience. So my recommendation is for the Ada Marketing Subcommittee to meet separately with myself to clearly define the strategic goals and objectives for the restructuring project of the website and the alignment of these with the mission and the strategic plan, and then to proceed with a discovery call with MPW.
Do we have any idea, any estimate of what the ongoing cost would be, like how it compares to what we were paying TGW?
It would be, I mean, my understanding is that with the TGW project that the website was completely redesigned, correct? It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
just
I
a
don't know.
restructure, it was a
It was-
complete redesign.
Everything, yeah, we had a very minimal website, and they,
Completely
yes, and
overhauled it.
I was on the marketing committee when that was redone. And, you know, I will admit, you know, it did turn in more to a site-based or site,
Mhm.
you know, we tried to not make it so much like a tourism website, but that was like TGW's experience with us. We tried to steer them in the right direction. I think there are elements in the web design that are valuable, but some of the execution in social media, as was noted by the board, really kind of lend itself more to selling place than selling us as a site for moving businesses. So, you know, what you described, Lauren, was, I think is good. I mean, some of the clients that they've had that deal with manufacturing and are being impressed with the Mohawk Valley website does make MPW I think a good fit. And the other thing I think is valuable is I will say that my thought that it may be close to what the maintenance fee from TGW was, but what we're hoping then is that we'll have a different slant to it, closer to the objectives that the board has outlined
Can
in
I
the past.
just ask for
Sure.
clarification, though, are we looking for we're gonna get a fee from them and they're going to make changes to our website? And is that it? Or is this an ongoing marketing thing like the relationship we had with TGW? What are we?
I think it could
Looking
be either,
for.
right?
Right, it could be either. I think I'm looking at the board to say kind of what the strategic plan is and what those objectives are, because if it's, if it's the agency coming in, they're using the current design, like my understanding is you like the look and the feel of the site, but essentially the content needs to be restructured in a way that the audience that's coming to the website knows. They know what they're getting when they first come.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not really clear.
So
when
would
you
they,
come to the main
would they
website, so.
take over all of our social media stuff? Like,
No, I mean, my understanding would be they wouldn't be doing social media, but they
Okay.
would be, like, I would be doing that. I would be
Okay.
doing the social media and marketing, but they would
Okay.
be optimizing the website, so. And then at that point, like we talked about before, like those associations, the other, webs, the other channels
right.
that site selectors and businesses can find us on, I would be doing all of
Okay,
that, but I
got
think the
it. That
optimizing
makes-
of the website and doing the
that makes
keywords and all of that, that would be part of the agency's,
Okay.
role. At least that's my understanding. I don't know if I'm speaking incorrectly.
No, I'm on
The
board with
only
that.
thing that I have a concern about with this is it's WordPress and you know how to use WordPress. And a lot of what I think we need to do is just bring certain things to the homepage and maybe other things don't need to be there. I mean, I just think the focus of what we're looking at is not necessarily right. As we talk about, we want to sell our properties and
Right.
can offer benefits. Let's just put that stuff up front. I'm a little concerned about paying somebody $3,000 to tell us that, because I think we know it already. Is it possible that we can just look at that and see if it's a thing we might be able to just do?
Can I just interrupt a minute? The marketing committee has kind of changed since we've had it. It's been a while. So I'd like to reappoint or appoint a marketing committee to look at this. Dan, I'd like to have you on it.
You should be on it, yeah.
Terry and Katie.
Agreed.
Pardon me?
Yep, I agree with that. Thank you, Jim.
Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, I was part of the marketing committee. I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person, because my thought is, I see what Dan's saying, like, I would be glad to be on it, but I realize like my knowledge, I thought like TGW did a good job with the look of it. That's where I'm like, oh, this looks great. But The thing that needs to be changed is more kind of the who we're targeting, right? So, you know, I was looking at the bigger picture, like, oh, Auburn, we're targeting the city of Auburn, you know, obviously I'm a city councilor, so it's like, you know, it's like, it makes Auburn look good, but that's Auburn's website. We're looking for like business, it should be businesses, it should be industry. That's the target. So Dan, I see what you're saying. Like, could we do this? Yes, but I do think that getting a perspective or at least getting us started. I think TGW got us somewhere, maybe some consultation with MPW could fill in some of that, but obviously at some point, we're gonna have to take control over the whole thing and not need to pay,
Sure.
you know, $3,000 a month. to
Oh,
do
no,
this,
and
you
this
know.
is just for the discovery call. I mean, just the
Yeah.
discovery call itself, because again, they're doing the research on the industry. I mean, they even said for, you know, they do a lot of home services websites. So they're like, we do them all the time. We can write any of that content, do any of that research in our sleep, but we're still doing the research to make sure we're getting all the things that are up to date.
It does just seem like a lot for them. We're
And that's
paying
just the
them
range.
to come up with a
That's-
proposal.
And a lot of like a lot of times, these companies they aren't gonna charge you for, I mean, we do like RFPs for these type of things all the time, and then web companies do all that research and they just give it to you. It's a weird thing to pay them up to $3,000 to have a call with us, and I think we have. At least I know there's a couple of people here. I know Maureen knows quite a bit about marketing, and I think you do too. And I think we could figure out what are those things that we could just push to the front of the site. I think it looks nice. I think it's a good looking website. I don't think we need to wholesale redesign it or anything. We just need to work with some of the content. So what I would say, what I would recommend that we do first before we pay anybody $1,000 to $3,000 is get the site migrated to a point where we have control over it, can see what there is and what we can do with it. I don't know what editing tools they're using. Are they using the Elementor? So there's a lot we can do on that, you know, even on our homepage to change what the look is, what the feel is, that we don't have to pay anybody a whole lot to get that done. I'd rather put our money into SEO maybe, or into, you know, some of the other marketing efforts that we could to drive those sorts of conversions.
I think that would be part of the proposal that they would. be
Yeah,
giving
and
us.
that's
Yeah.
cool. So I'm just
Yeah.
not ready to
Yeah,
do it
no,
the way we
understood.
look at it. That's all I'm saying, I guess.
If I may add here, based on Dad's feedback as well as Lisa's as well. As the marketing committee, if all those appointed members agree to be part of that committee.
I'm just not gonna talk after today.
Are able to meet and really clearly define after review of the website, you know, here's what we would keep and would want to move around. Do we really need this vendor here to go
Right.
through that? Or perhaps we could work with in-house design instead. Because Lauren only has so much time or expertise to do all this work. Whereas we're very familiar with in-house design. Anything we've ever wanted to change on our site, we call them up. They always pick up. And they always do what we're asking them to do to move things around.
Yeah, super responsive for sure.
So maybe just recycling content there
Mhm.
and reorganizing and probably adding a couple of things as necessary. Rather than going through some of the hesitancy here towards engaging with a completely different firm on what is starting to feel more like a little more of an overhaul. That's what I'm picking up from some of the members here. If
I don't know that necessarily need to overhaul much. It's just content as far as I'm concerned. I agree with everybody who said before that the look of that site, I think it's a really nice looking website that just needs us to be better at pushing the things that we want to get across, you know, to the front. How do you get our benefits? How do you get our property?
So we could do that, and that's what my suggestion is. I again will leave that to the marketing committee. And Lauren there. The only other thing I might add is if we might realize some cost savings on the website marketing front. can we reallocate those marketing dollars elsewhere towards Site Selector magazines, trade shows?
Yeah,
et
some other
cetera?
channels.
So just say a suggestion there for the board to consider.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you very much, yes.
It's been a lot of work and I really appreciate it too. Hopefully I don't, sound like I don't.
No.
So we have a clear path. I think right now, I guess. Let's kick things off with PGW as quickly as we can and get it posted somewhere, make sure that we have a look at it and then get the marketing committee together.
Sounds good.
Does anybody have anything that they would like to bring up, an update from the board? Moving on. ABO training. Do we have anybody that still hasn't had ABO training?
Listen, it's still me and I gotta do this. I'm sorry.
So
I'm so busy.
You got the dates, right?
Yes.
if you would like to, I mean, if you just Google it, it'll take you right there. You can get yourself signed up, but if not, then just let us know.
I will.
We'll get you.
I
signed up.
gotta get this taken care of. I'm very sorry.
As soon as
It's
you
very
do,
busy.
just send it our way so we can put it into our,
Will do.
the ADA files there.
This month I will take care of it.
Thank you.
Very good.
If you don't, you're gonna be kicked out of the marketing committee.
Don't give them that option.
Should I tell you? Should I put it off till next month?
Next year. Okay, motion for adjournment till May 17th at 5 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Hi.
Carried. Thank you.
Have a good week, month.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a couple minutes anyway.